Is that my phone? Or something else? Okay, here is the answers. So hopefully you remember it from Friday. The leg opposite angle A is BC, and the leg adjacent to angle A is AB, and the ratio AB over BC is called the tangent of angle C. Questions on that? Okay. Then what I want to do right now is I do want to put the homework answers up here so people can check. The first one is sine, we call it the sine of A, which is the opposite. It's always going to be a leg over the hypotenuse. And then the cosine of A is going to equal the adjacent, and that's always going to be a leg, over the hypotenuse. So let's say we're looking here at the sine of A. We're going to do opposite over hypotenuse. Opposite over hypotenuse. If we're looking at the cosine of A, we're going to do adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay? Now, on the test, I'm going to give you this stuff because I don't even have that memorized. But there's a really easy way to remember the sine, cosine, and tangent ratios. And let me show it to you right now. You've heard it already, huh? Somebody heard it, yeah. Look at this first letter. Don't circle it on your paper. Just let me do it. The first letter is S, O, H. This you should write down in your paper. S, O, H. So, and then C, A, H is ka. And then tangent, if you remember, is equal to opposite over adjacent, T-O-A, so that would be toa. I think of it as like an Indian chief. I still do it now. So, everybody say it. So, ka, toa. Say it. So, ka, toa. So, let's look at this first part here. What does the S stand for? I know you're just learning this, but what does the S stand for? Sine equals the O, which is what? Opposite over hypotenuse. What does the C stand for? Cosine equals the what? Adjacent over hypotenuse. And then tangent equals the what? Say it again. So, ka, toa. Easy to remember, okay? Used with right angles. All right, so let's practice this. So yes, I'm going to have you memorize that. I'm not going to put the tangent and the sine and the cosine ratio on the board. You just got to remember so, ka, toa. Okay? All right, use a calculator. Again, you need a calculator. If it's a graphing calculator, make sure it's in degree mode because you're putting in degrees. And just punch it on the calculator. If you notice, there's a sine and a cosine button right next to the tangent button. Push mode, if you don't remember, push mode. And put it on degree if it's not there already.
Why is mine in?
Will the tangent of a number always be decimal?
No, sometimes you leave it as a fraction. Sometimes you put it in decimal form.
I mean, is there like a regular number, 40 or 28?
I don't know. We'd have to look at the table for sure. There's a table in the back of your book. Yeah, put it up there. That's better. So sine of 14 is equal to 0.24192. I have to round it to 4 decimal places. So here's the 4th decimal place right here. What's the number after it? 2. So do I round up or not? No, I just drop all those off, and the answer would be 0.2419, approximately, because I had to drop off decimal places. And then I'm going to do cosine of 14, and And I need to go to 4 decimal places. So there's the 4th decimal place. What's the number after it? A 9, so what do I got to do? I got to round up, correct? So it's going to be approximately 0.9703. That's how I would write my answer. Kidoki? That's easy enough. All right, now let's practice using these. Sokatoa. I'm going to write it up here. Sokatoa. All right, find the sine of E and the cosine of E. All right, I don't know what the angle measure is, so I just write sine of E equals, what does the O stand for? Opposite of E, which is how long? 21 over the H, what does that stand for? Hypotenuse, which is how long? And that's it, you're done. You can't do anything else with that. You could put it as a decimal, but it didn't say so, so just leave it. All right, cosine of E. So I'm here, cosine of E equals the what? What's the A stand for? Adjacent, which is how long? 20. It's the leg next to the angle. So it's 20 over the hypotenuse, which is how long? 29. And that's all you can do. You could put it as a decimal, but we don't need to. Okay, let's do a little more. Find the cosine, and let's see, this is supposed to be sine here. I apologize. That's supposed to be sine. And cosine of k. Write your answers as fractions and as decimals rounded to 4 decimal places. So it's really the same thing we just did. Except I'm working down here, the sine of k. So I'm working with that angle down there. So the sine of k is the SOH, S-O-H, equals what over what? Opposite over hypotenuse. 12 over 37. There's the fraction. All right. Now I got to make it as a decimal.
So sinc is 12.
Sinc is 12 over 37. Yeah. So I make this into a decimal by simply doing 12 divided by 37 on my calculator. And I got to go to 4 places. So there's the 3. What's after it? 2. So I just drop these off. And it's going to be 0.3243. So that's sine. Now let's do cosine of k. So C-A-H. So cosine equals what? Adjacent. The adjacent leg to that angle, which is 35, over hypotenuse, which is how long?
37.
And then you just go to your calculator and you do 35 divided by 37. Ooh, 4 places. That's right here. What's after the 9?
4.
4, so I just drop the stuff off. If it's 5 or more, I have to round.
5, 9, 4, 5, 9, 4, 5, 9.
It repeats, doesn't it? All right. So these aren't too bad. Then you're going to get to a set of problems where you kind of have to say, I know all 3 ratios, so, ka, toa. Which one do I have to use to solve this problem? That's where you're at now. So, in this problem, they gave you this angle, right? What side length did they give you? What's it called? They gave you the hypotenuse. So you need to find the other sides. So if I write this down, so, ka, toa. If they gave me the hypotenuse, which ratios should I use to help me find the unknown side? Yeah. I could either use so or ka, because those are the ones that have hypotenuse in them, correct? All right, so I'm working with this angle right here. I'm going to use sine. The sine of 28 degrees equals, what's the O stand for? opposite, which is what letter? A, over the hypotenuse, which is how long? Oh, now this is one of those problems where you can have a ratio. You can set it over 1 and cross multiply. No, it's not. So, sine of 28 degrees times 15, because I cross multiplied, equals A times 1, which is just A. So you got to go to your calculator, punch in the sine of 28 degrees, which is just a number, times 15. And that's your answer. No, that's not right. You might, on the graphing calculators, have to close the parenthesis.
7.04.
Otherwise you won't get the right answer. Okay, don't write it down yet though. What does it say, round to what? The nearest tenth, which is right here. That's a 4, so we just drop that stuff off. And A is approximately 7.0 or just 7. It doesn't matter. Okay? So we found A. Now we got to find B. All right. Here's the angle they gave me. This is called the what leg? Starts with an A. The adjacent leg, and they gave me the hypotenuse. So I have adjacent and hypotenuse. Which one should I use? Cosine. Cosine. So I'm going to write the cosine of 28 degrees equals the adjacent, which I don't know, is B, over the hypotenuse, which is 15. And then divide this side by 1. Cross multiply. Cosine of 28 degrees times 15 equals B times 1, which is just B. And then you just go to your calculator. Close the parentheses, times 15. So to the tenths place, what would you put down? 13.2. Again, when you have these kinds of problems, look at what they gave you. They gave you the hypotenuse. You're going to use one of these two. Okay? So it's just a matter of what they gave you and which ratio you can use. Say it again. So, ka, toa. Yes.
Okay, so you know for the last one that we just have the cosine?
Yeah.